In the lush forests and along the rushing rivers of the Northeast, Native American tribes developed sophisticated hunting and fishing techniques that allowed them to thrive for thousands of years. These ancient practices, honed over generations, showcase the ingenuity, skill, and deep connection to the land that characterize these indigenous peoples. Today, we'll explore the fascinating world of Northeastern Native American hunting and fishing, uncovering the secrets that enabled their survival and prosperity in a challenging environment. For the Northeast Native American tribes, hunting and fishing were not merely activities for sustenance. They were integral parts of their culture, spirituality, and way of life. These practices connected them to the natural world, reinforced tribal bonds, and ensured their survival through harsh winters and times of scarcity. The Abenaki, Micmac, and Penobscot tribes, among others, relied heavily on the bounty of the forests and waters. Their hunting and fishing techniques were not just practical skills, but also spiritual practices, often accompanied by rituals and ceremonies to honor the animals and ensure future abundance. Let's start with their hunting techniques. The bow and arrow were primary hunting tools for many northeastern tribes. Crafted with meticulous care, bows were typically made from durable woods like ash or hickory, while arrows were tipped with sharp flint or chert points. The Micmac, in particular, were renowned for their expert bow crafting, capable of taking down deer from impressive distances. Hunters spent years perfecting their archery skills, learning to move silently through the forest and accurately judge distances. They studied animal behavior, understanding migration patterns, and feeding habits to increase their chances of a successful hunt. For smaller game, tribes employed an array of ingenious snares and traps. One common technique involved bending a young, supple tree to form a loop. When an animal stepped into the snare, its hind legs would be caught, and the tree would spring back, suspending the animal in midair. Deadfall traps were used for larger animals like bears. Hunters would construct a box from small logs and place bait inside. When a bear entered and picked up the bait, the logs would fall, trapping or killing the animal. For larger game like moose or deer, tribes often engaged in communal hunting practices. During winter, when these animals struggled through deep snow, hunters would work together to drive them into areas where they could be more easily taken down with spears or stone axes. Perhaps the most crucial hunting skill was the art of tracking. Hunters learned to read subtle signs in the environment, broken twigs, disturbed leaves, animal droppings, to locate their prey. They developed techniques for moving silently through the forest, often using natural camouflage to blend in with their surroundings. Now let's dive into their fishing techniques. One of the most impressive was the use of weirs. These ingenious structures were net-like obstructions placed across streams or channels, designed to catch and impound fish. Weirs were typically made of reeds, woven or tied together, and anchored to the bottom with poles stuck into the sand. The tops extended above the water surface, resembling fences arranged in patterns to guide fish into enclosed areas where they could be easily harvested. Spear fishing was another common technique, particularly effective in shallow waters. Fishermen would wade into streams or paddle in canoes, using long poles with sharpened ends to strike at fish. Some tribes enhanced their spears with sharp points made from fish tails, creating a primitive but effective harpoon. Large-scale fishing often involved the use of nets. In impressive displays of coordination, groups of men in canoes would herd fish downstream into large nets held by other men on either side of the creek or river. This method could result in catches of 1,000 or more fish in just a few hours. Even in the harsh winter months, fishing continued to be an important food source. Tribes developed ice fishing techniques, cutting holes in frozen bodies of water to spear fish lured to the opening. The hunting and fishing practices of northeastern tribes were closely tied to seasonal cycles. Spring brought the runs of anadromous fish like salmon, shad, and alewives, while fall was a crucial time for hunting as animals fattened up for winter. To ensure food availability year-round, tribes developed sophisticated preservation techniques. Fish and meat were often smoked or dried, allowing them to be stored for later use. This was particularly important for surviving the long, harsh winters characteristic of the Northeast region. The process of smoking fish involved carefully cleaning and filleting the catch, then hanging it in specially constructed smokehouses. The smoke not only preserved the fish, but also added flavor. Meat from large game animals was often cut into thin strips and dried in the sun or over low fires, creating a portable, long-lasting food source known as pemmican when mixed with berries and fat. For northeastern Native American tribes, hunting and fishing were deeply intertwined with spiritual beliefs and cultural practices. Many tribes viewed animals as spiritual beings, and hunting was seen as a sacred act that required respect and proper ritual. Before major hunts or fishing expeditions, tribes often performed ceremonies to honor the spirits of the animals and ensure a bountiful harvest. The Abenaki, for example, saw fishing places as spiritually significant locations where the underwater world connected with the surface world. These ceremonies often involved offerings to the spirits, such as tobacco or cornmeal, and prayers for successful hunts. Hunters might fast or purify themselves before a hunt, believing that spiritual preparation was as important as physical readiness. Some tribes had specific rituals for different animals. For instance, when a bear was killed, many tribes would treat its body with great respect, often addressing it as a relative and apologizing for taking its life. The sharing of the hunt was also an important cultural practice. Catches from hunting and fishing expeditions were often divided among the village's families or used for communal feasts, reinforcing social bonds and ensuring the well-being of the entire community. These feasts were not just about food distribution. They were social events that strengthened community ties, allowed for the sharing of stories and traditions, and reinforced the tribe's connection to the land and its resources. The diversity of hunting and fishing techniques developed by northeastern tribes reflected their deep understanding and adaptation to their specific environments. Coastal tribes became expert seafarers, hunting marine mammals like seals and dolphins in addition to fishing. They developed specialized tools for these pursuits, such as toggle-head harpoons for hunting seals. These harpoons had a detachable point that would toggle sideways under the animal's skin, securing the catch. Inland tribes focused more on riverine fishing and forest game. They became experts at reading the forest, understanding the habits of animals like deer, moose, and bear. They developed intricate knowledge of plant life as well, using certain plants to attract game or as natural camouflage. This adaptability extended to their use of local materials. The birch bark canoe, for instance, became an essential tool for both transportation and fishing among many northeastern tribes. Its lightweight design allowed for easy portage between waterways, expanding the range of hunting and fishing grounds accessible to the tribes. The arrival of European settlers in the Northeast brought significant changes to traditional hunting and fishing practices. The introduction of firearms altered hunting techniques, while European fishing methods sometimes clashed with indigenous practices. The fur trade, in particular, had a profound impact on Native American hunting practices, leading to more intensive hunting of certain species like beaver. However, many Native American techniques proved superior in the local environment. European colonists were particularly impressed by indigenous fishing methods, finding them more effective in the shallow sounds surrounding areas like Roanoke Island than their own techniques. Many settlers adopted Native American fishing practices, learning to construct and use weirs and fish traps. The impact of European contact went beyond just changes in technology. The introduction of European diseases decimated many Native American populations, disrupting traditional knowledge transmission and altering the balance between human populations and wildlife. Additionally, as European settlements expanded, Native Americans were often pushed off their traditional hunting and fishing grounds, further challenging their ability to maintain their traditional practices. While many of these ancient hunting and fishing techniques are no longer widely practiced, their legacy lives on. The ingenuity and sustainability of these methods continue to inspire modern conservation efforts and sustainable hunting and fishing practices. Many of the principles underlying Native American hunting and fishing techniques, such as understanding animal behavior, respecting natural cycles, and using resources efficiently, are now recognized as crucial components of wildlife management and conservation biology. Moreover, for many Native American communities, traditional hunting and fishing rights remain important issues, tied closely to cultural identity and sovereignty. Efforts to preserve and revitalize these ancient practices are ongoing, ensuring that the wisdom of generations past is not lost to time. Some tribes have established cultural education programs to teach younger generations about traditional hunting and fishing techniques, not just as historical curiosities, but as living practices that connect them to their heritage and the land. The ancient hunting and fishing secrets of the Northeast Native American tribes represent a profound body of knowledge, developed through millennia of close observation and interaction with the natural world. These practices were not just survival techniques, but integral components of a holistic worldview that saw humans as part of, not separate from, the natural environment. From the intricate construction of fishing weirs to the silent stalking of forest game, from the communal efforts of large-scale fish harvesting to the patient solitude of the individual hunter. These techniques paint a picture of societies intimately attuned to their surroundings. They speak to a deep understanding of animal behavior, seasonal cycles, and the delicate balance of ecosystems. As we face modern challenges of sustainability and environmental conservation, there is much we can learn from these ancient practices. The respect for nature, the emphasis on using resources wisely, and the recognition of our dependence on the health of our ecosystems are lessons as relevant today as they were centuries ago. The Native American approach to hunting and fishing, which emphasized taking only what was needed and using every part of the animal, stands in stark contrast to modern industrial fishing and farming practices that often prioritize short-term yield over long-term sustainability. The hunting and fishing secrets of the Northeast Native American tribes are more than just historical curiosities. They are a testament to human ingenuity, a window into sustainable living, and a reminder of the deep connections between culture, spirituality, and the natural world. As we move forward, honoring and learning from these ancient wisdom traditions may well be key to navigating our own relationship with the environment in the 21st century and beyond. In conclusion, the hunting and fishing practices of northeastern Native American tribes offer us a rich tapestry of knowledge, skill, and spiritual connection to the natural world. From the crafting of bows and arrows to the construction of elaborate fishing weirs, from the patient tracking of game to the communal harvesting of fish runs, these practices reflect a deep understanding of the environment and a sustainable approach to resource use. As we face modern environmental challenges, the wisdom embedded in these ancient practices may offer valuable insights for creating a more sustainable future. Fascinated by the wisdom of our ancestors? Follow Adventure Seeker's Paradise for more incredible journeys into the past and present of indigenous cultures around the world.